Alright, so today we are looking at one of the most hilariously uncomfortable dating show appearances in TV history. This one is courtesy of Take Me Out, a show where a single man has to win a date with any one of 30 women by surviving several knockout rounds. Each woman has a white light in front of them indicating their interest in the man, and at any point during the game they can press their button to turn it off. If there's still at least one light left on at the end, the lucky man has won himself a date. We'll explain each round in more depth as we go along, so let's just jump straight into it. First up is the most shallow round of them all. The contestant introduces himself by name and says where he's from, essentially giving the girls a chance to turn off their lights if they don't like what they see.
Good evening, ladies. I'm Damien, and I'm from Weston-super-Mare.
I'm assuming that the two lights went off because he's not their type, rather than them taking issue with the fact that he's from Somerset. But 28 out of 30 lights left on isn't a bad start for our eligible bachelor. Unfortunately, the bigger their ego, the harder they fall. And this is probably the show's most infamous episode in no small part, due to how dramatically steep the fall is. But for now at least, the girls with their lights left on seem more than happy with their first impressions.
Wow, he is hot to trot.
One thing you have to accept when watching this show is all of the cringe that these people come out with. No doubt they've been told by producers that the boring bits get cut out, so if they want to feature in the show, they have to be a bit extra for the cameras. As a result, they frequently come out with little idioms, occasionally not knowing what they actually mean. Like here, hot to trot doesn't mean attractive or sexy, it means excited and ready to mate. Although perhaps unintentionally, she may have been right anyway. But I digress. Next up, it's time for round 2. This is a pre-recorded self-made video where we get to find out a little bit more about the man himself and what he does for a living.
Plain and simply, I'm a model. I've modelled for Diesel, TK Maxx, right down to DFS sofas.
I mean, he's not a bad looking guy, so not hugely surprising. Not quite sure why the iconic home of the never-ending sofa sale took a bit of disrespect there, but he survived with 26 out of 30 lights remaining on. However, it's from here that things start to go rapidly downhill. In round 3, the man either performs a skill live in front of the audience, or a friend or a family member makes a pre-recorded video revealing a secret about them. This time it's the latter, and his friend drops an absolute bombshell.
Only recently he dated the one and only Jodie Marsh, who I think is so natural.
So for those of you who don't know who Jodie Marsh is, she is a wild one. She started off her career as a stripper in a London gentleman's club, where she appeared on a reality TV show called Essex Wives. She moved on to modelling topless on page 3 of The Sun, before making numerous reality TV appearances on shows like Love on a Saturday Night, Celebrity Big Brother, and Totally Jodie Marsh, Who Will Take Her Up the Aisle. She's also had quite a wild public dating life. For example, after dating Brentwood DJ David Doyle for just 11 days, she tattooed his name on her hand and announced their plan to marry each other in a fetish dungeon. They broke up a few weeks later. So that revelation, along with a follow-up from his friend saying he loved the papping, the attention, and everything else that came along with it, brought on a brutal culling, leaving him with just 6 lights on out of 30. As a result, the host, Paddy McGuinness, goes up to a few of the girls to find out why exactly they turned their lights off.
I feel a little bit bad because I'm sure she's a lovely person, but I'm not as wild as she is, I'd imagine, so.
Now, I'm not usually one to encourage someone to care much about someone's past or dating history, but I feel like this is fair. I think there are also possibly a few concerns about the partying and modelling lifestyle that Damien is leading, and if that doesn't match with any of those of the girls, they're fully entitled to reject him for that. However, that doesn't mean that he's happy to see them go.
I was going to pick you, Lucy.
Oh, no. Oh, look at these girls. Oh, we've never had this before.
Now, this is just the first of several horrendously dumb, short-sighted, and possibly even insulting things that Damien let slip during this episode. I mean, fair enough if he was out to win Lucy and Lucy alone, but she's out of the game now. She can't turn her light back on for him, meaning whoever he ends up with now, assuming he even makes it to the end with any lights on, is going to know that Lucy was his priority, and they were at best his second pickings.
Of all the girls, you were going to pick Lucy.
From the beginning, yeah.
Wow. I mean, technically, he's saying you're second best.
Exactly. Letting it slip in the first place may be forgivable, but to double down on it after the very vocal response from the crowd and the look on everyone else's faces is wild. Somehow, some of the girls still want to give him a chance, but he just keeps on digging.
Can I
But
defend myself?
you must feel really awkward as well.
It's
And everyone
because
feels-
I always attract blondes, and I thought tonight, pick a brunette, try something different.
Pick a brunette and try something different, he says to the blonde girl with her light still on. He said he was defending himself, but he's making it so much worse. In fact, 4 out of the 6 girls remaining are blonde, meaning he's cutting off 2/3 of them, saying he's looking for a brunette. And then he goes and throws dirt in the faces of the rest of the brunettes.
Lucy, out of all the brunettes, I will hold my hands up, is the most attractive of the
There's
brunettes.
our JCB.
Just letting them know, in case it wasn't clear enough when he said he was going to pick Lucy from the start, that he doesn't find any of them anywhere near as attractive as he finds her. It is unreal. Unfortunately for all the girls remaining, that is the end of their involvement in the decision making. In round 4, it's Damien's job to turn off the lights of all remaining girls, except from 2.
Oh, Charlotte's gone. She's not that bothered. 4 girls. One more girl. Any Sarah, okay, give him a round of applause.
Usually in this part, the men come across as quite apologetic as they turn everyone's lights off, but Damien adds insult to injury by slamming everyone's lights off and not even looking them in the eye. I mean, I know it's a game show and it's supposed to be a bit of fun, but have some shame. What's even funnier about this is that despite saying I usually attract blondes so I thought I'd pick a brunette, he then went on to turn off the lights of both remaining brunette girls, leaving just 2 blondes.
You've left Steph, you've left Chelsea, you've left 2 blonde girls.
I had no choice.
Yeah, I had no choice.
I actually can't believe it. He hasn't got a tongue in his mouth, it's a rusty old spade with an uncontrollable thirst for digging. These poor girls have been relegated to second choice, to then not even being originally a desired option due to their hair colour, and to now being the scraps left over that he had no choice but to accept. He could have had some sort of redemption by paying the 2 remaining girls compliments and picking positive reasons he left their lights on, but instead he reduces them to this. Well, it's now time to move on to the 5th and final round. Here, Damien gets to ask one question to both of the girls before deciding based on their answers and everything else whose light he wants to turn off and who he wants to take out on a date. So he decides to ask them if they were stuck on a desert island, what's the one thing they would take with them?
I would have a really good answer for this if I like the lad.
So Steph fires one back on behalf of the ladies and it is met with a thunderous applause. Also, I don't know why Damien is acting wounded as if he wasn't expecting that. If this had gone any more downhill up until this point, they'd be finishing the round at the centre of the earth. Still, knowing the audience is preying on your downfall has got to her, and Chelsea's answer wasn't much better.
I would take milk because I love milk.
Brilliant. So one of them doesn't like him and the other likes milk. I wonder who he'll choose. Well, just before Damien makes his final decision, Paddy, as always, comes in with a secret fact about one of the girls, revealing that one of them is actually Miss Intercontinental England. However, whilst this usually adds a little bit of spice to the decision-making process, there are no prizes for guessing who Damien is planning on choosing.
Is it going to be Steph? Or is it going to be... Nice and straight away. Damien saved me.
Good luck.
His ego is so fragile. He did not like the admission that she didn't like him one bit. Up until now, everything he said has felt like brainless autopilot responses, where he said out loud every thought that popped into his head without really thinking about it. But this little display of bitterness was definitely intentional and perhaps revealed more about his character. Thankfully, although the power is supposedly in his hands, there is one final pie waiting to splatter him in the face. Damien might have won himself a date, but Judy stole the show. Women 1, City Boys 0. And once again, he absolutely hated it. He even turned around to Paddy like, is this allowed? But fortunately, there is no VAR on this one. So Chelsea sarcastically celebrates before walking over to Damien, greeting him with a frosty handshake. It is just so painful. Why he thought she'd be receptive to a cheek kiss is beyond me. Although, I do feel like I have to give him some credit for being bold enough to try it, even if it did stem more from a distinct lack of social awareness than it did bravery. On the way out, he does apologise and tell her she looks beautiful, but it just doesn't change anything. In her post-match interview, she says that she feels like she's taken one for the team and been left with the runt of the litter. And of course, his interview goes just as well as his time on the show did.
When I met Lucy on stage, I kissed her on the cheek. She seemed a little bit reserved. Lucy? Chelsea.
What an absolute mess. He didn't even use the other finalist's name. He used the name of the girl he wanted from the beginning, which is so much worse. I wish they had actually interviewed Lucy after the show too. I very much doubt it, but I wonder if hearing that he wanted her from the start might have changed their mind at all. And by the way, in case you were curious, it was Steph and not Chelsea who was Miss Intercontinental England. Anyway, whether he likes it or not, he's locked in with Chelsea. As a result, the pair are whisked away to their date on the Isle of Fernandos, which is a fictional location actually based in Tenerife in the Canary Islands.
Usually with women, the drama comes within maybe 3 weeks. This is pre-date and already I'm nervous. Hello, Chelsea.
Hello.
Do I get a kiss?
You want?
Usually with women, the drama comes within 3 weeks. As if he wasn't already on thin ice as it is, he decides to sprinkle a bit of subtle misogyny on top of it all. And what is he going for a kiss for? She wasn't receptive to it the first time. Why is he trying again? I mean, at least earn some respect back first. The forced kiss to someone who said you can have one if you want through gritted teeth made for an awkward first start. And unsurprisingly, it didn't get any better from there. The first part of the date was a facial, and so Chelsea seizes the opportunity to ask Damien if he felt like saying he wanted to pick Lucy from the start was in any way insensitive.
In my defence, I've had major problems with blondes before.
Yeah, but someone's hair colour doesn't mean they're all going to be categorised like that.
You'd think that after all this time he will have come up with some sort of excuse for his behaviour, or at least some justification for what he said. But he just doubles down on the reasoning he got clowned on for in the first place. Well, after the facial, the pair go off for some drinks by the beach, where it becomes painfully clear that there is absolutely zero chemistry between them.
You are so annoying. Now what are you looking at?
We need some sort of conversation starters.
Yeah.
You know what? This isn't great for Damien, but maybe him running out of things to say will actually serve him well. I mean, at least he can't come across as more of an asshole if he doesn't say anything. It's funny though, I actually expected him to turn up the charm and ask her loads of questions and really try and win her over. But it seems his 2 remaining brain cells are still daydreaming about Lucy. And when he finally does come out with something, it is of course insulting.
What do you think of plastic surgery and things? Have you had it?
No.
Shocked.
So you think I look fake?
No.
Like a drunken chess player, Magnus excluded, this man is a blunder machine. Whenever there's an opportunity to say precisely the wrong thing, he just cannot resist. To be fair to him, it did sound like he didn't mean it to come across that way, but I cannot for the life of me figure out what he meant by shocked. Anyway, he goes on to ask her if she has any questions or if there's anything she'd like to know about him, but she's stumped. It's clear the date is going nowhere, so he seizes his final opportunity to attempt to make some sort of amends for his indiscretions.
When I was on the show, I didn't mean to offend you or any of your friends
Apology
whatsoever.
accepted.
Finally.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Yeah? A smile, ladies and gentlemen.
I can be angry and smile.
He almost had it. He didn't really apologise, but he was expressing regret, and she did actually give him the benefit of the doubt. But he just had to go and ruin that too with the sarcastic finally, before topping it off with a patronising comment about her smile. Although that was the end of the day, the drama didn't stop there. In fact, what happened after the show was arguably more insane. Firstly, it turned out that not only was Damien not single at the time that this was all filmed, he was actually just about to marry his girlfriend Sarah. And to make matters worse, because TV production tends to be quite slow, the episode actually aired a month after the wedding took place. Honestly, the fact that she didn't get the ick and divorce him on the spot is nothing short of a miracle. What's even funnier about this whole story is that Jodie Marsh ended up going on a TV show called This Morning and denying that she was ever in a relationship with Damien. She said, "I'll tell you what, this guy, I went on one date with him. One day. We had pictures in a nightclub. He sold the pictures to the TV show or whoever and gave them away. and now it's being told that we had a whole full-blown relationship and that I was his ex-girlfriend. So the whole he dated Jodie Marsh thing that caused the majority of the lights to turn off wasn't even true. And because of the way the whole episode went down, apparently Damien went through absolute hell when it aired, receiving death threats, matches through his postbox, and petrol cans left on his car. Thankfully though, he seems to be doing just fine now. I actually looked him up and he seems to be living the high life as a luxury real estate agent with a reasonably successful YouTube channel. I actually watched the most popular video too, and not only is the house insane, he's actually really good at it. Let's just hope that he's having as much success in his relationship as he appears to be having in his career. Well, if you enjoyed today's video, please feel free to subscribe down below so you can catch more videos just like this one in future. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.